What's up, everybody? Randy here, Nerds Templar, chilling in episode 8 of the live viewing of Beyond Lumina, the space fantasy series. Alright, oh, nope, I'm still not there. There I am, hello. What's going on? Saturday morning here. Yeah, I guess, you know what? Let's just get right into it. I have a couple things I gotta open up here still on the screen. So I will go ahead and start doing that. 10 episodes of this posted on the channel for any of you tuning in for the first time. Or watching the VOD, of course. You can watch the other 2 episodes if you'd like, preemptively, but we are going to be live viewing those as well. And so, yeah, you can just wait, and that'll be Wednesday and then next Saturday again. And after that, the following Wednesdays and Saturdays, we'll be going through new episodes 11 through 11 and beyond, you may say. I do have a pretty solid end time, I believe, for what we're gonna do. Sorry, this thing keeps, your little screen here keeps coming off. There we go. I'm trying to get this thing up here. All right. So I will give just some quick spoilers and background, I guess, for the previous 7 episodes. So for any of you who haven't listened or watched or whatever, stop watching now and come back later, I suppose. Watch the first 7, and yeah, then come back. Let's see here. I'm going to bring up, as we do, our list of AI-generated artwork portraits of our characters, and we'll check those out as we discuss what's happening. Let's see where we are here. Here we go. All right, and of course, as always, Aezic Zin, Lieutenant of the Free World Alliance, our main man. Whoa. Mind all that yet. He's on several missions at this point. He went back to his home on leave. He found it ravaged by one of the other 3 powers out, known as the Royal Ascendancy. He went looking for leads on his family with no luck. Met a few different people along the way. Sergeant Vala Rees of the Free World Alliance, who tried to help him when he was on his homeworld of Ravina. Again, sorry, I meant to bring up the spoiler thing here. This, again, is just early stuff, though, so it's all good. But yes, I do recommend, if you don't want to be spoiled, then tune away now and tune out, I guess, and tune into those other first 7 episodes quick. Watch them 1.5 speed if you'd like. Maybe that's a little too fast if you don't actually know what's happening, but anyway. Aezic also meets Zario Launer, posing as a Ravinian soldier, along with his cohorts, Maddox Valanth, Bohawk, Bohawk's subordinates Quaz Filini and Usian and Valence, Mecca, and Argyle. Now those 2, 4, 6, 7 aid Aezic and then go on some missions with him, end up betraying him because that was kind of their goal all along. And so they also end up being betrayed around the same time. So they kind of make a truce with Aezic, which then becomes, as they escape, all but Hawk, of course, escaping from their certain doom together on an asteroid outpost, then sort of slowly become friends over time as they go to an independent planet, get a ship there to get them somewhere else. Aezic then ending up on a free world planet, ditches the rest of them, kind of because they're not really friends yet, and it also sort of for their own safety. Runs into Vala again on this planet, who's tracking him, as per orders from her superior, Sergeant Major Ty Ravim of the Alliance again. And at the same time, her I never remember. You could call like a associate, I guess. Same rank, actually, a bit higher. The Master Sergeant Maloon there, Ravim's other subordinate. She's out scouting for Ravim, doing different things while Vala is tracking Aezic and has found him. Aezic then, and Vala learns at the same time as Aezic that there's a bounty put on him by the Free World Alliance, his own people. And so he goes on the run. Vala goes on the run with him. Major Ravim, Sergeant Major Ravim, that is, tells her that it's okay. She'll be safe from any repercussions, to stick with him and aid him, and to just keep tabs on him, basically. So she does that, and as they're trying to escape Sotama, the name of the planet they're on, they have some troubles. They're found, but then they're saved at the last moment by Zario and the rest of the crew, other than Hawk, of course, again, who then go out, leave the planet. They almost get away, but they're shot at, not quite shot down, but their ship's disabled to the point where they're basically doomed to drift through space until their life support systems fail eventually. So they're all in somber moods. That's everybody, including Aezic, Vala, Zario's whole crew, other than Hawk, until they are rescued by some unsuspecting people. And there's, of course, Private Boss and his commander, Sergeant Benta, who are have a little slight side story at the moment, that they come in a few little times, and they're from the Saurian military, part of the Tan-Saurian Federation on the world of Sor, who's being also attacked by the Ascendancy. In fact, they're one of their big worlds for food production has been completely and utterly destroyed by something known as a super ion weapon, which is banned throughout the system because of its destructive power. But Photoglaus and crew are of scavengers, or salvagers, if you will, pick up Aezic and the rest, take them back to an Ascendancy world, actually known as Kastia, but it's Ascendancy, but not quite Ascendancy. It's sort of not really on the outskirts, but on the periphery, in the sense of the Ascendancy don't like the Kastians very much, but they are an old planet. They're almost a subjugated planet within the Ascendancy, and they're you could say a monastic sort of, not entire world, of course, but they do revolve around the worship of one they call the One, and then also the reverence toward one they call Omnis, who yes, is known to have created Lumina and what lies beyond in their belief. So there's another one. Once they arrive on planet, they do run into Foderblem, who's not too happy with him. Soder Tlaren's just another character there that they meet early on as they're sort of getting to know some of the Kastians who aren't very keen on visitors, and mostly because, as Glaus, their savior, sort of explains to them, they are a subjugated planet within the Ascendancy, and they aren't their beliefs are not to be taken outside of their own planet, and if they are, then they will be in some trouble with the Ascendancy. It's sort of a deal that they've had for generations now, and so that's why they've kind of stuck to their own little place. They're kind of they don't get much help from the Ascendancy, which is why they're scavengers. They end up scavenging to sort of make a living. They also live underground. Their planet is completely underground because they're so close to Kastian, or so close to Lumina, the star, that they basically have to be underground to live. Food sources not vast at all. And yeah, that's all the characters that we met, and that is where we left things off. Let's close this for now. And let me see real quick here if I want to mention one more thing that I'm forgetting that happened at the very end of the last episode. What did we have happening? Yes, that's right. So they had just arrived, so there were no big cliffhangers or anything. Vala, though, well, I should also mention Valenth, Mecha, and Argyle all remained on the ship because they didn't want to give up their weapons, as Aezic suggested everybody did to help the Kastians not worry so much about these Outlanders, Outworlders. But yeah, those three, Valenth in particular didn't want to give up his weapon, so he went back to the ship to stay there. And Mecha and Argyle, Mecha not wanting to associate herself with Aezic and Vala at all, decides to go with Valenth, technically her superior, if you will, but they're basically all just a group of friends, mercenaries. And Argyle, as always, follows her because that's what he does. They're almost the inseparable pair of Valenth's subordinates. So that's where we are. Also learned that Mecha is Zario's sister. So they are, yeah, they're brother and sister. Zario, the leader of the mercenary crew. Vala, though, yeah, she's having a crisis when they're on the ship before getting saved. Once they get saved and get to Kastia, she has sort of you could say a spiritual moment as she enters the large stone-hewn temple, as everything's cut from the stone of the very ground itself. So yeah, she's then in the temple, sort of, and then here's, not sure if it's an audible voice or not. She does hear someone say her native name of Valalira Rees and tells her not to fear, and that is where we left off. And Aezic had also heard a voice on the ship before they were saved telling him to trust, and he had no idea where it came from, if you're, wondering. May have missed some of these small details. All right, but that's it. Let's get all this stuff out of here. I should turn off the spoilers thing first and then say that's it. Now we are ready to go with episode 8. I guess it really doesn't matter either way. The spoilers is just so people beforehand know, if they're just tuning in, that they might hear something. But now the episode's going to be starting, so obviously if you don't know what's happened in 7 and beforehand, you're going to be spoiled. So anyway, without further ado, here we go. Beyond Lumina, episode 8, Kastian Mushrooms. Beyond Lumina, episode 8, Kastian Mushrooms. I saw the land beneath me tremble and open up, and I was dragged beneath into the skyless depths. A great fear washed over me as I saw thousands upon thousands tormented. Then the great Omnis spoke to me out of this horror and said, "O you, my chosen people, you shall forsake my gift to you in time, and you will suffer greatly. You shall be driven from your homes and forced to flee into the ground. Your descendants shall know nothing but poverty until the appointed time, because you will keep silent the word that was passed to you, and you will seek to preserve your own lives over the countless souls of the world." The frightening vision persisted, and my fear increased, until I was pulled out of this pit by Omnis. He returned me to my place, and a feeling of peace washed away the fear I had felt. Omnis then spoke once more, saying, "But when the appointed time arrives, I will restore all things. I will send one who will free you from your bonds, and free the word that will have been silenced. Behold, the one who appointed me deems it so." These are the words of Enchalin. One could not tell from within the rocky planet, but Kastia's rotations were so short that it was not unusual to sleep through an entire one. This was the case for Zario, Philini, and Usion, who all rested comfortably and safely at the temple of Omnis, the Kastian people's deity. Even Aezic found more rest than usual through the painful headaches and thousands of questions. They made their way back to one of the dining rooms and waited for Photoglaus, whom they assumed would be waiting to greet them. They didn't see anyone at all, however, and wondered where all the hooded people had gone. Not long afterward, their questions were answered, as the men of the temple came pouring through the doorway from the sanctuary and into the dining area. "They're as silent as soldiers marching," Zarya said to Aezic, as the hooded men filed into the rooms and filled the tables. A small helping of posh, the goopy brown muck they called food, was quickly brought to them all, including the crew. After another moment of silence, all of the men of the temple quickly ate and then began to leave the dining area. Usion was the only one of the crew to touch his posh. "Are you going to eat that?" he asked Philini. Philini looked at him in mild disgust. "No, help yourself," he replied. Usion gladly took the plate and polished it off, as well as the other two, but was still unsatisfied. Just then Photoglass approached the crew. "Ah, you're awake. I hope you rested well. I know our accommodations aren't anything like you'd find in the Alliance." "No, it was great," Aezic replied. "Thank you for all your help." "It was my pleasure," Glass said. "And I have some good news. I was by the hangar at the start of the rotation, and it'll only be 4 more before it's ready to go." 4 rotations on Kastia was around 1 on most other planets, so it wouldn't be long. "That is good news indeed," Aezic answered. "The last thing we want is to cause you any problems here." "I'm sure that everything will be just fine," Glass said. "There is no need to rush off if you are not ready to go. Stay as long as you need. And while you have some time, feel free to explore the rest of Omnis, since you have yet to really see Kastia since you've been here. You can perhaps find something other than posh to eat. I will be around the temple here if you need me. Just ask someone for me if you do. By the way, if you want one of our healers to take a look at you, just let me know. We, of course, aren't as well equipped as maybe you're used to, but we have quite effective medical technology nonetheless." He had noticed Aezic's painful expressions from the headaches. Aezic thought immediately of the posh. "No, that's all right. I'm fine. Just something that comes and goes. It's not a big deal." "If you're sure," Glass turned to leave, then added, "Oh, and your other friend is out in the sanctuary." "Thanks again," Aezic said. He turned to the others after Glass left. "Well, we might as well do what he said, since we aren't going anywhere yet. I'm going to meet up with Vala. You can come if you want." "Maybe we'll go check on the others," Zarya said. "We'll meet up with you later." "All right." Aezic left the eastern wing of the temple and entered the sanctuary, where he saw Vala sitting near the central statue. "Hey, have you been out here this whole time? Didn't you try to get some sleep?" "I did a little," Vala replied. But then everyone in the temple came out here, so I joined them. Well, I'm going into the city to check things out, Aezic said. Do you want to come? I think I will stay here for a little, actually, she answered. I'll see you when you get back. Aezic was a little suspicious of this. Okay, I'll see you later then, he said, and left the temple by himself. It looked like it would be impossible to get lost, though the city was quite large, because the temple loomed over the entire thing. He walked the well-ordered streets, peeking in various market windows, which were basically holes in the cave. But they weren't drab or dreary holes. They were well-crafted and seemed cozy inside. Most of the people stared at him warily, but it seemed word of their arrival had spread quite a bit already, and so some citizens seemed less startled by him. Even in his Kastian attire, Aezic stuck out in the crowd of locals, who all dressed and maintained themselves in a very average and indiscriminate way. And he still wore his pistol in a visible place, something so normal for him, but something that seemed to concern the Kastian natives. He saw no weapons among them. He thought back to the ships at the hangar and realized that none of them had weapons either. How do they possibly defend themselves, Aezic wondered. Anyone could come in here like me with nothing but a plasma pistol and take the entire city. No wonder they're so frightened. Aezic wandered out toward the outskirts of the city, where he first started to notice signs for delicious Kastian mushrooms, then saw for himself what the signs were pointing to. Ahead of him, growing all around the cave walls and ceiling, were enormous mushrooms. Aezic again thought back to the posh. Mushrooms never looked so good. Miss, one of the robed women in the temple lightly tapped Vala on the shoulder. Can I help you with anything? Vala had now been on Kastia nearly 2 Kastian rotations, and had spoken very few words the entire time. Mostly just to Aezic and a word of thanks to the woman who showed her a room to stay in earlier. After a moment, Vala replied, What? Oh, no, thank you. I'm all right. The hooded woman looked at her with a little concern, then walked away. Vala felt as though something was asking her to remain there, though she didn't know why. She thought she heard a voice speak to her when they first arrived, but since then there was nothing. She wondered if she was waiting for the voice once more. She was even hoping to hear it again. It was comforting and had eased not only her previous fear of death on the Obian ship, but also the unnatural fear she had felt upon entering the temple. She was torn between this feeling and her duty as Aezic left to walk the city, but she could do nothing about it. Fodor, one of the robed women, approached Glaus. I'm concerned about this Outlander woman you've brought back here. She's barely said a word since she's been here, and she hasn't eaten a thing. She's just been staring at the act of creation as if she's becoming a statue. I assure you, began Glaus, that they are good people, Soder Clarence. Just keep an eye on her. There's clearly something about the sanctuary she is drawn to. But don't you think it's dangerous to allow these Outlanders to pursue the voice? Soder Clarence asked. What if Drop and the Ascendancy were to find out that they professed a belief in Omnis in the One? You know as well as I, dear Soder, Fodor Glass said again, that we cannot stop the will of the One and of his architect. If she is drawn to the act of creation, that is an act of the One working within her, not solely of her own desire. Of course, Fodor, the Soder replied. I will do as you request. How many times do I have to tell you? No, Zario said to his compatriots, as they convened outside of the Obian ship. We're not leaving without Aezic, and we sure in Lumina aren't going back to Ravina. You can't decide for all of us, Mecca answered. What are you going to do, take the ship and leave us here if we don't come? Zario asked. You don't want to come help your friend, Mecca replied. That's your choice. We're going. Zario instead tried to reason with Valen. You know it's suicide if you 3 go there. We'll take our chances, like Hawk would have. Valenth responded. Can you not trust I'm trying to look out for us all? Everyone except Hawk, Mecca said again. She looked at Philini and Usion. What are you two going to do? They looked at one another. You know that we want to help Hawk, Philini answered her. But we trust your brother, as we always have. Fools. Mecca turned and walked back onto the ship. Argyle followed. You're going to get them killed, Zario said now to Valenth. You can't do this. Surely you know that. You seem too sure, Valenth replied. Where has your faith in us gone? Were you too busy playing soldier with the ascendancy that you forgot all we've been through, all we've overcome together? I haven't, Zario told him, but you aren't listening to me. Whatever is going on, whatever we're mixed up in, is bigger than anything we've dealt with before. We can't do this on our own, especially without Hawk. I want to look for him just as much as you all, but if we are going to have any chance, we need some allies, which we may have found. But we need to stick with them and help them out a bit, and then we'll find out more about what's happening, and we will have a much better chance of finding Hawk. Every moment we wait is another moment that Hawk doesn't have left, Valenth said, and turned and followed Mecca and Argyle back onto the ship. Well, what are we going to do? Philini asked Zario. We're going to hope, Zario answered, that they don't do something stupid. Aezic found amongst the massive fungal arrangements a long, rocky enclosure. Underneath were several Kastian natives at work with cuttings of the large fungi, and Aezic assumed it was where they prepared it for sale. There were others climbing amid the implanted mushrooms, and Aezic assumed these were cultivating and nurturing their product. He approached some of the workers within the enclosure, and again they were leery of him. Excuse me, Aezic said. Could I purchase a couple sacks of your mushrooms? Some of the workers shifted off away from him with their backs turned. Excuse me? He said again. He was about to walk away when he heard a timid voice address him. That will be 80 Christ. Aezic turned and saw a young woman, very thin like everyone else on Kastia, and also simple in appearance like everyone else on Kastia. Yet she had a profound beauty about her that attracted Aezic. I'm sorry, he repeated clumsily. I'm not really sure what Christ is. Oh, of course not, she stammered. You're staying at the temple, yes? I'm sure the devotees will compensate us. Here. The woman slowly and cautiously approached Aezic with 2 sacks of mushrooms and gingerly handed them over. I really appreciate it, Aezic said, taking the sacks. I'll let them know as soon as I get there. Yes, my pleasure, she said quickly, then walked away quickly. Aezic wanted to stay, but thought it best to wander the city some more before finally making his way back to the temple. He found a place that seemed to resemble a space inn, and noted the location for later on. Maybe a good spot to waste the other couple rotations. He figured he'd probably been out for at least one. Aezic ate some of the mushrooms on the way back to the temple. Amazing compared to the posh, he thought. He got to the magnificent structure dedicated to the deity of Kastia, but figured there was no need for him to go in. I'll just check on Vala. He looked inside, and sure enough, she was still seated near the central statue. Hey, Vala, I'm back, and I brought some food if you're hungry. He again said this much louder than intended, and the other patrons of the temple again gave him looks. Vala barely acknowledged him with a half-turn. She is acting very strange, and I don't think it's on purpose, he thought. He walked back outside to the porch of the temple, a few steps that rose up to the entry, and ate a few more of the mushrooms. Soon Zario, Philini, and Usion returned. Hey, Aezic said when he saw them. How are the others? Frustrating, Zario answered shortly. What do you have in the bags? Mushrooms, Aezic replied. They're pretty good. He gave one of the sacks to them. Ah, thank you, Zario said. I thought I was going to be stuck with that brown slop again. They stayed outside and ate the mushrooms for a while, then decided to check out the space inn that Aezic had seen. When he went to check on Vala, however, she wasn't there. "Did you see where the Outlander that was here went?" Aezic asked some of the nearby Kastians. No, one said, as they all quickly walked off. He found one of the devotees and asked him, but he said he didn't see her, so Aezic asked where Photoglass was, and was pointed to the eastern wing. "Go ahead to the space inn," Aezic told the others. "We'll catch up with you." He headed into the eastern wing and found Glass eventually, up many flights of stairs, in what Aezic assumed was the living quarters of the men. "Aezic," Photoglass said as he approached, "is everything all right?" "My friend that was here, Vala," he started. "Do you know where she is now?" "She's not in the sanctuary?" Glass asked. Aezic shook his head. "Is it possible she left and didn't tell you?" "Unless she knows another way out, no," Aezic replied. "Well, let me go find one of the Sodders," Glass told him. "Perhaps they know where she went." They left the eastern wing and Glass found one of the robed women. "Sodder Melia," he said, "have you seen the Outlander?" "Sorry," she answered. "I haven't, Potter." "What about Sodder Clarence?" Sodder Melia went to fetch Sodder Clarence, who was in the western wing, but she came back alone. "Sodder Clarence is with the Outlander. She fainted just a short time ago," Melia said. "But it looks like she is all right now, just resting." "Okay, thank you for finding out." Aezic had to admit that he was a little worried about her. "I'm going to go find the rest of my crew," he said to Glass. "Let her know I'll be back soon if she comes looking for us." He left to go to the space inn and let the others know he was going to stay at the temple and wait for Vala to recover. "I don't know why I'm telling you all of this," Vala said to Sodder Clarence after relating her experiences since coming to the temple. "I don't even know you." "Well, if anyone is going to help you understand what is happening, it will be us," Clarence replied. "It seems that Omnis is calling you to something." "But I'm not sure what that is," Vala answered. "You said you heard a voice when you fainted, yes?" Clarence asked. "Do you remember what the voice said?" "At first I heard my name, like before," Vala began. "But then it became too muffled and I couldn't make anything out." "That's all right," Clarence reassured her. "If you desire to heed his word, you will recognize the voice of Omnis more and more, and you will understand what he asks of you." "It's not that I don't want to," Vala said, "but how long will it be before I know? I can't stay here long." "It's okay," Clarence responded kindly. "You will hear the voice of Omnis wherever your journey takes you. It may be our most sacred place of devotion, but the temple is not necessary to hear Omnis. Be sure he sees and hears you wherever you are." "Sees and hears me?" Vala repeated. "That's correct," Sodder Clarence affirmed. "One that created all space and time is surely so intimate with that creation that it sees and hears all things." "What do you mean?" Vala asked again. "Are you saying Omnis created everything?" "Well," Clarence started, "Omnis created our world and everything that we see. He is the architect, sent by the One to create freely and watch over that creation. And so he created us, Lumina and whatever lies beyond Lumina, so that we could have a share in their existence. For there was no need for the One to create the architects, nor was there need for him to allow the architects to create us. But in doing so, he shows forth his great love for us, and allows Omnis to show forth his love for us as well. And we show our love for them and one another in turn by devoting ourselves to them in the service of others." "I think I understand, at least a little," Vala said. "But what could Omnis want with me? I'm not from here." "As much as I would love to say it's nothing, for the sake of my people's safety, Photoglass thinks there is something about you, and I must agree now. We all are called to something by Omnis. Most of us are called to simple lives of love and service, especially here on Kastia. But there are some who are called to greater things,
and I don't think I've ever heard of Omnis calling an Outlander. The implication was clear. After some time, nearly a whole rotation, Vala returned with Solder Tlarans to the sanctuary, where they saw Fodor Glaus. I'm glad to see you up and moving, he said to Vala. Aezic is just outside the temple waiting for you. I believe he's been pretty concerned. That somewhat surprised Vala, though she wondered whether it was because he actually considered her a friend, or if it was just his nature. She nevertheless went out to greet him, but as she did, the temple door swung open, and a hooded man, a young one, came running in. Fodor, he said quite loudly. What is it, Fodor? Glaus said to the young man, and added, Keep it down. I'm sorry, but Fodor Glaus, the man replied. Drop is here. Two rotations left, Zarya said. It's not that I don't like this place, but I'm ready for some real cuisine. He, Philini, and Usion were at the place Aezic thought seemed like a space inn. He was partially right, as it was mostly like a diner. The trio were at least able to check out some other Kastian delicacies, at the expense of the temple, but none of it was something they would label very good. Usion was a little less critical. I'm sort of tired of waiting, and it's not like there's time to go sightseeing, Zarya started again. We might as well just head back to the ship and wait. They were making their way out, but Zarya suddenly stopped, looking out one of the holes that acted as a window. Oh, that is not good, he said. What do you... Oh, Philini responded, as he looked out the window as well to see a squad of Ascendancy soldiers, clad in their notorious sleek gray and crimson synthplate, making their way in two armored grav cars down the main street. They're going right for the temple, Zarya said. We're not going to be able to warn Aezic. They're going to be trapped in there. If those guys just came from the hangar, Philini said with worry, then what do you think happened to the others?
And that's that. Episode 8 in the books. Let me know what you're thinking. Those of you who are probably going to end up just watching the VOD at some point in the future, hopefully near future, not distant future. Of course, yeah, so we're going to just continue on Wednesdays and Saturday mornings. 3 left, again, that were already posted. And then we'll go through 11 through, I'm planning on about 30 episodes. So, and what it is, again, for those of you who are a bit newer and haven't maybe listened to all the other live episodes, the episodes are, it's a book, obviously. It's actually called the Book of Aezic. Every episode is a chapter, basically. And every chapter is pretty much 10 pages on a Google Docs thing, so which would be a little longer than like 10 red pages. It's about, what, I think 25 minutes or so per episode, excuse me, if you look on like the, the actual episodes of it, not the live ones. I believe it's probably average about 25 minutes. So pretty much what you would expect from, a half-hour episode of your favorite woke television show. So let's see here. I think I closed. We don't really have any new characters. We do have some new characters, but I am going to wait until next episode, after next episode, to show their AI artwork, because that will be. I could have waited till today, I guess, to show till now to show Solder Clarence. I don't know if she was named until this episode. I think I even showed her yesterday, though, so, or last time. So, or Fodor Blem, he was in the other one. Fodor Glaus, though, he's the one again that met them out in space and brought them back. Fodor Blem was the one who first questioned that him bringing them back. He was critical of that, and then of course then Solder Clarence, the one that's sort of trying to take care of Vala, and of course she was the one that was talking to Vala at the end there, privately. And then of course Abu Abila down there, he was mentioned he would be the leader of the order. And if you want to kind of like try to imagine what this temple is like, maybe if you're curious, it would you could almost think of it like the old like Jewish temple almost, not quite, but in that it would have like uh, the main sanctuary for like the common folk. It would probably have like a more private sanctuary as well, though. And then the like it said, the eastern and western wings there. Those are basically this temple would be so massive that you're talking almost like a small commune built within this entire structure of a temple, which is again built within a cliff or built within the rock itself inside a cave. Glaus told them in the last episode how the caves and caverns they lived in basically were natural mostly, but then they were also connected, man-made, connected synthetically by them over time to give them a better tunnel network. So again, that's where they live. Everything's made out of hewn from the rock. So really, when you get into the temple, it's not really like it's that much different than being outside. It's just maybe a less of a vaulted ceiling, perhaps, but not much because the temple is so grandiose that uh, its ceiling probably would almost be as high as the regular um, outside ceilings are. So yeah, so then the eastern and western wings, those are basically like different buildings in a sense. You could think of them that way, with the sanctuary itself being a large, almost like a big marketplace that would be right outside the main marketplace. You could think of like outside the temple as the main market area, the main square of the city. Again, the main city of Omnis, which is named after, again, the architect. We learned a little bit there more about these spiritual beings that are being discussed here, but still a little vague. Not everything comes out at once. So yeah, we got again a few of them on the ship. We got Mecca, Argyle, Valenth back on the ship. Of course, now the Ascendancy, led by a man named Drop, has arrived as these couple, both Lem down here and Talarans were sort of worried about what they asked Klaus about what happens if this Drop character finds out that these people, these Outlanders, are in not just on Kostia, but within the temple where they're not supposed to be. So yeah, so they have arrived, and it doesn't look good, and that's where we leave things. I think that's it. I think that's it. I have written about 20 episodes right now, which is much further ahead than I was when I was releasing these. I just have to, get them into YouTube video form, and then they will be ready to go. One more look through it, everyone, if you want Aezic there, our main character. Our other main characters, Vala, Zario, all his subordinates. He's the leader again of the mercenaries. Valenth, Hawk, who's missing, who Valenth, Mecca, and Argyle want to go find. And then you have Philony and Usion, who are actually Hawk's subordinates. They take orders from him, if you will, if they were going to split up. They actually remain with Zario, or they, even though Valenth, Mecca, and Argyle are thinking about going, and they want to go. Zario and Philony, I'm sorry, Usion and Philony do try to take Zario's side in that. And of course, yeah, Mecca and Argyle both leaving the rest of the group for now, staying on the ship. Again, Ravim and Maloon, Boss and Bonta. We didn't hear from them actually this episode. Basically, just all on Kostia, right? We also didn't hear anything from Robin and Maloon, what they're up to. Back on Ravina, or within Ravina's space, of course, because they are more They are more spacers rather than like land-based military. And then yeah, Glaus, Blem, Florence, and that is it. We'll meet Avila, I believe next week for real. And we met a another Kastian. Aezic did, I guess, when he went to buy mushrooms. Met another Kastian. We'll also, I believe, meet her a little more next week. So just a few more little spoilers there for you, I guess, little tidbits. So we shall be back next week. I say, but I mean Wednesday. That'll be the next one, and then Saturday again for episode 10, and that will be that for the ones that are posted. I'm super excited. That means I'm pretty much gonna have to start doing these, 11 through probably 15. Try to get those out, done, the videos of them done quick, so I can have something there. It shouldn't take me too long. Probably would take me less. I could probably do it in a day, less than a day. Obviously, it wouldn't take me all day, but I could probably do it in under a day to get one video out each. I'm probably gonna see if I can do it. I'm still considering doing more background soundscapes, different ones, or if I'm just gonna reuse the 10 that I have already from these first 10 episodes. I could just reuse them 2 more times, right, and we'll get through the 30. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll make 20 more of them with what is it called, Virtuoso on the Meta Quest 2. So yeah, all that sound, all those musics, any music you hear on here that isn't like obviously from somebody else is actually mine. I have probably like 12 of my own like kind of simple beats that I use, and I have these 10 Beyond Lumina soundscapes that I use for Beyond Lumina stuff. So that's actually all mine. Don't be stealing it. And that's it. Yeah. I will catch you. And if you're curious about other stuff, we will actually be doing Pokemon TCG Live, playing some of that online tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern. And then tomorrow we'll be here for nothing because it's Sunday. Monday we'll be back actually for more TCG Live online play. That'll be in the morning though, at 9 a.m. Eastern still. And then Tuesday we'll be back with Pokemon collection, TCG collection stuff. Probably going to be looking at stuff from a tournament this weekend. I did kind of say I was going to go to the next 2 tournaments coming at this further away place. We'll see. I would kind of feel bad if I didn't show up, so I probably will, which means yeah, probably more tournament stuff, which is always fun. I do have a bunch of stuff I still need to get on TCG Player posted. Check out the TCG Player shop if you're a TCG player. Lorcana stuff going to be up there. Going to have. I just went to. Not going to do this often, so not going to have a whole lot of stuff. But we did do a Magic pre-release last night for the new Magic the Gathering set. It's like a spooky kind of set, so I thought it seemed like it was probably going to be relatively popular. So I figured I'd go to the pre-release, play, get the stuff, and sell all the cards afterward. And I already, it was a $35 thing. I already made $8 back from cards I sold there. I'm sure that out of everything I have here, I can make another whatever that is, even $27, $26. So yeah, that'll be going up. Lorcana stuff, more Pokemon, bunch more Pokemon, play Pokemon, prize pack, stamp stuff. Still got to post all the stuff from last Tuesday's stream. Yeah, and I guess that's it. So I will catch you guys in one of those next ones, and of course next Wednesday will be Beyond Lumina episode 9 live viewing, and then we'll be on to Thursday for probably some Yu-Gi-Oh collection opening, and then Friday for Pokemon in the evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, big Pokemon collection stream. I got a few things now to open, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Until then, and also we'll probably do another TCG live stream either Wednesday or Thursday night. I'm still not really sure. It's kind of one of those up in the air. Same with like a Saturday evening. If that's like sometimes we might do Saturday evening TCG live. Sometimes we probably won't always, but sometimes we will. And I'll probably always try to do either Wednesday or Thursday, or maybe a Friday morning. I'm still trying to figure out where another maybe second TCG live stream will fit nicely. I want to do one in the morning and one in the evening though, because for time zone reasons. Anyway, that is that, guys. I'll catch you in the next one, whichever one that be. I'm Randy, and this is Nerds Templar. Peace.